Moi everyone and welcome to Finish Your Plate. The potato casserole is probably one of the most popular Finnish Christmas dishes. It has a pretty interesting method when you make it because it's sweetened but there is no sugar usually added to it. It is sweetened by natural enzymatic reaction, which is very interesting. It is basically a potato dish that has a lot of cream, has butter. It's very rich. It's sweet. It is great to have with your Christmas ham. So join me and I'll show you how to make this Finnish Christmas mainstay. So for the potato casserole, you need potatoes. I have here some potatoes that are the starchy kind. These are usually, you can tell that they're starchy because they're larger in size and they have a pretty thick skin. Finns are notorious for being able to peel the skins off of boiled potatoes, but we're not going to do that. We're going to peel them first and then we're going to cook them in small amount of water. We can preserve all that starch from the potatoes, and then once they're done we're going to mash them, and then we are going to let them sit overnight and have the amylase enzyme do its thing and sweeten the potatoes. So first, let's turn on the heat. And meanwhile, I'm going to peel these potatoes. So I peeled my potatoes. I'm just going to cut these into smaller pieces so this way they will cook faster. And this is good timing because my water is just coming to a boil. So I'm going to put these potatoes in the water. I have not salted the water. We do not want to salt it yet. And now we'll just let these cook until they are soft. So let's try our potatoes. Okay, yep, they are soft. So they are done. So I'm going to take the potatoes, put them in my bowl over here. And now I'm going to use a potato masher just to mash them up. And also I'm going to add a little bit of the starchy cooking water. Maybe not all of it, but at least a little bit. It's going to be a pretty dry mashed potatoes at this point. So now I have my hot mashed potatoes here. So now I'm going to let this cool down to about 60 Celsius, 140 Fahrenheit. And then I'm going to add a tablespoon of flour into the mixture. What the flour does, the flour contains amylase enzyme. It's added into the flour. What it does is it actually will convert some of the starches in the potato into sugars. Therefore, it's going to make it sweeter without adding extra sugar in it. It is not sugar-free because, of course, there is sugar from the potato itself, but there's no added sugar. But right now, it is still way too hot. If I added the flour right now, it's just not going to work. So I'm going to wait until this cools down to about 60 Celsius, 140 Fahrenheit. And then also what I need to do is I need to keep it around that same temperature overnight, about 8 hours. And what we're going to see is that during that time, the potatoes will get softer, more looser. It will change color just slightly. That's how we know it's working. All right, it's been a while, so let's take the temperature of my potatoes. Yeah, they've cooled down enough. So now I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of all-purpose flour. And I'm gonna mix this. Mix the flour all in. And I have my oven set to just having the light on because I have an electric oven. So that's going to keep the temperature pretty warm, about what we want. You could also try a sous vide bath, or maybe putting it just in a warm spot. If especially if you're making your Christmas ham, you could definitely put this somewhere near the oven, not in the oven, because you don't want to get it too warm. Too warm and the process stops. Too cool and the process stops. Now that all the flour has been mixed, I'm just going to add a little bit more flour on top. And I will cover this and put this in a warm place so it can stay warm overnight. Okay, so our potatoes have been sitting in a warm spot for several hours. Let's take a look. Okay, so the first thing that we notice, and this is perfectly normal, this is actually to be expected, you can see that they turned a little bit grayish in color. That is exactly what happens when the amylase enzyme does its job. So we know that this worked. We probably don't need to add any more sugar. But if for some reason what happened, it wasn't warm enough, it was too warm, something happened, your enzyme reaction didn't work, you could always just add sugar. It'll be just fine. So the other sign that we should see when we mix it is that it is a lot softer in texture than what it was when we started. And it is. It turned a lot looser, even though we did not add any liquid to it after we put it to rest. Okay, that's good. So now a couple more things left to do. Of course, we did not salt it, so we need to salt this now. Potatoes take quite a bit of salt, so. And also, we're going to add some cream. And a little bit of whole milk, about half cream, half milk. I put in maybe about a cup altogether. And let's mix it all in. So we're going to end up with this pretty loose potato. Looks like mashed potatoes, a little bit dull in color. There we go. And also I'll add some white pepper. Some people like to add Christmassy spices here too. Cloves, cinnamon, nutmeg maybe. Let me just give it a quick taste just to make sure it's salty enough. If not, I'll add some salt. If it's too salty, I can add more of milk or cream. It's almost salty, but I feel like it does need a little bit more. Okay, that's probably good. Now I'm just going to spoon this into the oven-proof dish. What you don't want to do is don't fill the dish completely, because this is going to foam in the oven. So if you fill your dish completely, it's gonna foam over. Maybe about 2/3 of the way done. And then shake it just to even it out. There we go. And this part, of course, is completely optional. I'm just going to use a spoon to make wavy patterns on the top of the casserole. And to finish it off, we'll just place a couple of good-sized pats of butter on top. Because Finnish Christmas food is all about the cream and the butter and the sugar and the salt. Okay, so the potato casserole is now ready for the oven. I have my oven set for 150 Celsius, about 300 Fahrenheit. Just put a baking sheet or something underneath it when you're baking, just in case it bubbles over, so you're not going to make a mess in your oven. All right, so I'll see you in a bit. The potato casserole is now out of the oven and it looks absolutely wonderful. It's still sizzling It has that melted butter on top, and it has a little bit of that crust on the side where it's cooked really well. This is going to be a nice treat for any kind of Christmas table. So tell me in the comments, what's your favorite Christmas casserole, Finnish or otherwise? Have you tried the potato casserole? What do you think about the sweetness of it too? And what about the other Christmas casseroles? Do you prefer them over the potato casserole? As always, make sure to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching on this Christmas season. And I'll see you next time on Finish Your Plate.